Welcome to Taking the Pulse, a healthcare and life sciences podcast. I'm Tina Emerson, here today with two of Maynard Nexon's attorneys, Matthew Roberts and Angela O'Neill. Good to see you both today.
Hey, Tina.
Good to see you.
Well, we have a great guest with us today, USC women's basketball coach Dawn Staley. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tina. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to introduce you, even though you need no introduction. You've been up to a lot since you were with us last. You joined us last on the podcast in 2020 during COVID, and since then, you've won two more national championships. Most recently this year, where you went undefeated for the entire season and had a whole new starting crew, which is very, very impressive. And you've been named Naismith Coach of the Year again, and the WBCA National Coach of the Year again. So congratulations. And all of the success and achievements that you've had, even before COVID, after COVID, you've had a lot going on in the past several months since the last championship. Tell us about it. What's been going on? How have you been doing?
Busy. I think I've been to Europe 3 times. I've been to Asia 1 time. Haven't been home a whole lot, but it beats what happened last year. Last year I was home a lot. I had a lot of time to get in my garden. Had a lot of time to just kind of talk to my bamboo. But this year was a little bit different. I think it was a little bit different than all the championships as well, because I think the 38-0 really, I don't know if it resonates with people. I don't know if they're just amazed by it, but it really it's gotten a lot of attention where people want me a little bit of here and a little bit of there, and I've tried to meet every moment because I think this team is worth talking about and sharing how we were able to just do the unthinkable and do the unimaginable and do something that really unified, again, our city, our state, and probably our fams.
For sure. Absolutely.
Well, Dawn, as a coach, you have many jobs, wear many hats. But one thing I noticed about the team is the physical and mental condition of all the players in order to compete at the highest level. I know Molly Benetti is the strength coach, and she's done a great job with the teams, this team and the other teams, and even the freshies. I remember none of them had any injuries. So what's your philosophy for physical conditioning? How do you help the staff prepare? And, kind of what's your take on and how important it is to have good trainers and a good medical staff?
Super important. I mean, those positions are probably I think the single most important ones, because when you have health and historically speaking, the more healthy we have been throughout a season, the more success we've had. So we really take that really personal, and we customize and we individualize each and every player, what their needs are, and we try to make sure that we're checking off all those boxes. And I think mental health is a big part of why our players are able to be more healthy and prepared for anything that life throws at them. They are ones that if they have anything that's going on, they're unafraid to say, hey, something just doesn't feel right. And we're quick to utilize our mental health providers right in the athletics department. Several of our players have a real strong relationship with Dr. Ross, who she travels with us. She's there to listen to our players to make sure that it's balanced. The physical part of it is demanding, and the mental part of it can be taxing, because it is, it's a lot for young people to deal with. And fortunately for us, we got the right people, the right experts in each area to make sure that our team has exactly what they need.
Well, Coach, you talk about mental toughness or mental health, and you've got the resources, but how do you coach it so that when these kids are in great physical shape, they also are unafraid to make the shot, do what you want them to do on the court? Because, watching them, this past season going 38-0, there didn't seem to be a lot of mental stress with these kids. They played some tough games, at the SEC tournament, very tough. A lot of people have written them off in that Tennessee game and
right.
Hit clutch shots. What's the secret to coaching that?
Well, I think the secret is we got a great staff. Like you have to. I get a lot of credit for the success of our team, and I defer, because it's a team effort. It is we got a great coaching staff. We work extremely well together. Does that mean that we don't have like off days or days in which we aren't, we're fighting, we're disagreeing? Yes, we have all of those. But when we walk out the office and we're presenting to our players, we're a united front. I am really like unafraid. Like most of probably all but two, and they're actually three, and they're the newest staff members. Have less experience than I do. The other ones have more coaching experience than I ever could have, and they know more the ins and outs of being a coach. So they make me look good, and it's always great to know that you're working with people who are just as strong or stronger in some areas. I think we do a great job of complementing and supplementing the things that we don't do well as a staff. So we have everything covered.
Well, as a follow-up to that, everybody's watching you on the sideline. How do you keep your cool? And I know sometimes the refs make some bad calls, but how do you keep your cool and so that the team knows, hey, look, nobody's panicked. We're down by 3, but we're still in this.
It's a great question. Here it is. I had to evaluate myself. I do. I do evaluate, and I find myself the more I am arguing or talking or communicating with officials, the less I trust my team. So yeah, it's like you're looking for a little bit of help from the officials because you don't think you got a good enough team to win the basketball game, to win a quarter or win a possession. So you're looking for help somewhere. And now I'm just, I believe in our team. We got a really good team. We've created great habits, like great practice habits that we've taken throughout the entire season. And then we rely on those habits. We rely on the things that we've done well. Like if you take our national championship game, I mean, we were down double digits in the first quarter.
Yep.
Right? And I sat there. I mean, I said a few choice words to the
Yes.
officials, and then I sat down. But I trusted my team. Like any other coach would probably call the quick timeout. And I just sat there because, one, as I'm evaluating the game, I see Iowa is doing exactly what we said they would do in the scouting report. We were doing exactly what we needed to do, but we weren't making our shots. We weren't making excellent shots, good shots. And then also, one of the keys to the game was Iowa's post players' ability to run down the floor in transition. And Caitlin Clark having half of her assists. All the assists that she averaged, half of them were to her post players in transition. So if I'm calling a timeout, our bigs won't know the pace of what their post players are doing because I interrupted that. So once they got a feel for it, we made some adjustments. We started making just the shots that we didn't make early in the game, and then at the end of the first quarter, it's tied up.
Right.
So
and it felt like we had a 10-point lead though,
right.
at that point.
10, I thought it was 20. It's a game over.
Yeah.
But Dawn, like as a follow-up to that, I want to talk a little bit about NIL and like how that adds another layer to the players and how they approach the game and what you have to manage as a coach. And do you see it, and I don't know how to say this appropriately, but like, do you see the different players on your team maybe struggling with NIL, and how do you handle that from a mental perspective to say, hey, just because, I don't know, Zaya is getting these endorsements and maybe Olivia wasn't, how do you have to balance that as a coach and help them mentally stay prepared that the end goal is a championship? Right.
So I think there are things that us coaches have to get in front of, and that's one of them, to make sure that everybody's benefiting from the space in some form or fashion. So we do things to help with that. We've asked several people here for donations in that space, and you guys have really helped in that area because we want to provide a base for everybody. Everybody gets a certain amount, and what their agents get them is what their agents get them, but they know they're going to get something from us. We also provide every player on our team, their parents get a stipend to come travel to see them play here or on the road. So we give them that part of it. And the other stuff is I help every player that wants representation, an agent, to help them find who that agency is. So we do our parts to make sure that it's streamlined. It's a place in which our players really don't have. It's not a hardship for them. It is when you need something, you go get the best. Like if we need a strength and conditioning coach, we went out and got the best in Molly Benetti. When we needed an athletic trainer, we went out and got Craig Oates, who's the best. Nutritionist, Jeremy, like we get the best. And it allows us to be successful in other areas when you know that players are taken care of. Like it is a challenging times when it comes to NIL, but it's one that if you give every player an opportunity to be successful in it, they feel good about it, even though they're not number one in that space. If they feel a part of it, it leads to us having smoother and clearer and sleepful nights.
Right.
Yes.
That's the idea. Well, Coach,
Sleepful night.
yeah, it looks like the SEC and the Big Ten are pushing toward requiring more transparency about injured players. And I don't know if that's official yet.
Yeah.
And that's probably not something that's impacted you, but some coaches like to play games with that. Mm-hmm. What's your philosophy on talking about a player who's injured and dealing with an injured player, maybe who wants to come back, but it's too soon? And how do you manage that?
Yeah. For me, less is more.
Right.
Less information is better for us because you don't know. And I think that's a personal thing from a student athlete, where they are in their process of recovery or injury. But sports is a big business. I do think the reason why we have to do that is because of all the gaming and the betting and all of that. But I've never been one to put players' business out there. I'm more of, hey, she's good or she's not good, or it's to be determined. But there are some people in the media that they want the information so they can do their jobs a lot more efficiently. So I see it on that side of it, but I'm always going to err on the side of protecting our players and their privacy and their ability to deal with their injury on the personal level.
Right, which is hard to do.
Mm-hmm. It is. Coach, I'm going to switch gears for a second. You are a national spokesperson for Afflac. Tell me a little bit about that role and kind of the role that Afflac has played in supporting women's sports overall.
I mean, Afflac is the ideal company. Like, if you really want to get into, women's basketball, I would say Afflac has the blueprint and how to do it. One is, I think they are innovative. I think they are cutting edge when it comes to making a splash in women's basketball. I'm not saying that because they chose me and Coach K to appear in some commercials, but it's really thought out. Like it's not just a partnership with, hey, we're going to use you on these commercials. We're going to play these commercials all the time. What do you say? So we did the commercials, and then now they're like, well, what is it that you want to do? What kind of impact do you want to have in our game? How can we help you? And it's not a lot of companies that are out there saying, how can we actually help you grow the game? And it took me by surprise. Like, I wasn't ready. And I talk so much about advancing the game, and then you have a company like, Afflac, and they're like, well, what do you need? Like, what's up? Like, what do you have on your pad that you want? And I'm like, I don't have anything. Let me think about this, right? And then, they put their, I tweeted this, they put their money where their beak is. In that it's not just one person like me that they want to help in the space. I think they've got a partnership with Together. You got the T-shirt on. They have, I think they're going to add some more and ambassadors to who they have already. It is, they want to help. I get Garth. What's Garth's position?
He is Chief Marketing Officer.
Chief Marketing Officer. He handwrites notes to me like that. Not an email, not a text message. He actually sits down and handwrites letters, thank you letters, and it's just awesome. Like I'm an old school type of girl where I still write out checks for my bills sometimes. So to receive a letter like that, to know that they're in touch with the personal side of things, and it's personal to them to uplift women's basketball, even if they have to single-handedly do it.
Well, it's a good partner to have, and Afflac, among so many other companies, are talking about women's sports now more than ever. So it's an exciting time. I mean, women's basketball is really having a moment, although it's been your moment for decades, but we're really having a moment right now.
She's leading it.
That's right.
Leading the moment. Yeah. I mean, I get to ask the last question. It's really weird to say this, but Dawn, I don't even know what to say about you as a coach. I mean, 3 national championships, all those gold medals, 3 gold medals as a player, 3 as a coach, 1 as a head coach, 8 SEC championships, all those national conference awards. I probably know the answer. I want to hear her say it. Like, who do you credit for your leadership ability? And just share your philosophy on people continuing to improve and grow as a leader.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually living my most natural life. Like, it's natural. Like, I don't put on airs. And not a lot of people can be in this space where they're okay with who they are. Like, I'm okay with who I am. I do believe that my mother has a lot to do with who I am. Like, and it's a shame it takes you when you're in your 50s to realize what your mother was saying back when you were 7, 8, 9, where you couldn't do certain things because of what my mother perceived as negative or could derail you from having a successful life. I didn't like my mother growing up. I didn't like her. We didn't, because I never saw the things that she saw. And I'm not supposed to. I was too young to see it. But now that I'm where I am today and I'm responsible for 12 to 15 young ladies, I am my mother's child. Like, I mother like my mother mothered me, aside from sparing the ride. She did not do that. I have to spare the ride right now in my position. But I do think it took me probably to be over 50 to lean out my life, to understand what I like, what I don't like, what to address, what not to address. And it feels good and liberating to know that I can be myself, and it's okay. Like, it's okay for people to not like you for certain things. It's okay for people to like you for certain things. It's okay to be non-judgmental. It's okay for people to live their lives and you not judge them. Like, I think probably the best compliment that I've ever gotten from a former player was that I was non-judgmental. Like, I can be mad at you in 1 second, and then the next second I'm, they call that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But at the same time, I give everything the moment it's supposed to have. If it's contrasting within a few minutes, it's contrasting in a few minutes, because that's how I feel. Like, if there's a turnover happening in practice, I'm going to scream, yell, curse, right? But then as a beautiful assist happens in the next possession, I'm like, I'm going to encourage, and I'm going to just make sure that I'm giving them the positive feedback that play deserved. So I think it's pretty cool, and being in a leadership position, to be just honest in who you are. And it's really a great place to be. And that's what I try to get our players to do, is figure out who you are at an early age. I mean, I think Asia Wilson figured out who she was at a very early age, very early. And that's why she's probably living her best life now, and she's only in her 20s. So she's got a lot more years to live and to live free and unapologetically. And I think that is so cool. I think some young people feel like the mistakes they made are defining, and they're not. They're just a part of the transformation of you in the most transformational years of your life.
And speaking of Asia and all her success too, how gratifying is it for you to watch the players that you have raised up have so much success?
Pride. I mean, I'm proud. Like, it's a proud moment, because we win a lot of games. We win a lot of championships. We actually benefit from them. It's our job to give them their goals, their life goals, their what they want to be in life, and a lot of them is, going to the WNBA. So to see them actually hear their name called on draft day, it's quite incredible. To see them become MVPs of the league and all-stars of the league and the most talked about and the franchise player of a team in the league, that it wasn't transactional when it was in college. It's full of wanting them to be the very best that they could be and to check off those goals. And I'm a self-prescribed dream merchant. And when you see them actually live out their dreams, it's really a proud moment.
But when you see those young women respond to you when you show up at the WNBA games and watch the looks on their faces and listen to them give the credit that they deservedly should to you for your leadership, that's another special thing too that has been amazing to watch.
We just saw one last night.
Just saw one last night.
Right.
Camilla was so excited.
Camilla
Yes.
cried. Like Camilla actually shed tears.
Right.
When we walked into the gym, and I couldn't hold myself. She was actually warming up, like in the layup line, and I'm like, Camilla. So she comes over and she hugs, and she could see her. She got those lashes, so the lashes was getting liquidy. But it's just heartwarming to know that, you have that impact on them, and they have impact on us as coaches. Like, they're like our children. They're like the very people that we. I mean, they're our lives. Like, our life is actually accustomed to their needs and what they their desires. So I think it's pretty cool when they're able to get to the mountaintop and thump their chests. And then their parents. I mean, that's the thing that gets me, when their parents really understand the entire journey of their child. Like, I know Camilla or any freshman that comes into our program to when they get to the WNBA, they don't think about what they put us through. Right. They have no idea. Right. And the parents don't think about what they put us through from year 1 to probably year 2 or 3. Year 4 is probably a little bit easier for everybody because, they've been through everything and now they know. So I just think it's cool. The whole journey and process of helping young people find success is kind of like the ultimate.
And those are all such beautiful stories of just maturing and growing and getting stronger and facing successes and some failures, but in this case, not very many. Yeah. So congratulations. Thank you again for being with us, and thanks for taking the time and being such a great friend of the firm. But we are glad to have you here. Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time on Taking the Pulse.